Dear students, today I am going to begin with you Aldous Huxley's novel Brave New World. Brave New World is the best known of his novels and also is one of the most distinguished works of modern fiction or science fiction. It was published in 1932. Huxley was 20 when the First World War began in 1914. And if he had not been almost blind, he would have enlisted and seen the horrors of the war with his own eyes. But then he had enough intelligence and imagination to know what it was like, the war conditions, the horrors of the war. His first book of stories, Limbo, was published in 1920, and his last novel, Island, in 1962. So his work covers 43 years, or we can say 4 decades, uh, as he died in 1963. During this time, or during these 4 decades, 4 important events took place: the breaking of Europe, the knowledge explosion with its technological revolution, the population explosion, and the appearance of the mass man. The economic revolution promising to banish poverty everywhere. During these decades, democratic states became welfare states, and on the other hand, it became possible to destroy millions of human beings. On the other, it also became possible to feed, clothe, and house millions of human beings. The world became a much smaller place, and it seemed possible to help all the countries in economic development. It was an age of, we can say, globalization. Huxley observed these developments very closely. He admired the material aspects of civilization but condemned its brutal effect on human freedom and intellect. He believed in the individual and hoped that a number of dedicated individuals could revive the old values of love, sympathy, and joy that had been destroyed by science and industry. Huxley's aim in writing novels was to attack the various aspects of modern life, modern materialistic life, especially those conditioned by scientific development. He found that science had fragmented life and was producing men and women whose faculties were at war with one another. He found a society which valued material comforts of life and which was obsessed with the fear of annihilation, brought about by its own uncontrolled attraction for science. Huxley found that the greatest obstruction to progress came from egoistic and eccentric characters, who were the products of immeasurable developments in science and technology. In his novel Brave New World, all the major characters are either egoists or eccentrics. For example, the director, then Bernard, Lenina, Mustafa Mond, these are all persons of one or two ideas, and their mental development is warped either by their own selfish motives or on account of their conditioning. Now, if I'll just tell you, I want to tell you the story of this novel, Brave New World, in brief. So, this novel, the setting of this novel, is in the year 632 AF. AF here stands for after Ford. Ford is the famous car company. So, after Ford means after establishment of this company in 632. So, Brave New World is a utopian novel set in a future world state in the year 632 AF. It presents a picture of world based on science. In this world, social stability has been achieved through a scientific caste system. The people belonging to this world are graded from highest intellectuals to lowest manual workers. Even reproduction here is a standard laboratory matter, and people are turned out systematically conditioned for the several strata of life. None of the emotions like love, hatred, friendship, compassion, etc., have any place in the life lived in this world. And philosophy, art, and literature are substituted by sensual life. Conditioning makes workers content with their lot, and they have no higher aspirations or spiritual values to counter their enjoyment of material pleasures. The novel opens with a scene at the central London hatchery and conditioning centre where its director is showing this plant to a group of students. The brave new world has already been ushered in, and time is measured from the time of the discovery and mass production of Model T Ford. 632 years having elapsed since that time when the action of the novel begins. Like mass production of cars, mass production of babies has been made possible by means of artificial insemination and fertilization of eggs. The visiting students are told that in the new society, individual differences have been eliminated so as to achieve the goals of community, stability, and identity. And people are now grouped according to the stage of their development, right from fetal stage as alpha plus, the highly intelligent leaders, to epsilon minus morons, the misshapen ape, like fools who have to do all the dirty work. The director explains the Bokonovsky process, which involves the production of 96 identical twins from a single fertilized egg, thereby making maximum conformity possible. Now, Mustafa Mond, one of the 10 all powerful world controllers, takes over from the director to lecture to the students. He tells them that in this controlled society, individual passions such as love have been replaced by communal spirit and casual promiscuity. Private love between individuals has been dispensed with, and the words like father and mother, denoting personal relationships, have become taboos. The disorderly life of the old world has been substituted by an orderly and planned life of the new world, thus making people more happy and contented. This way, a rosy picture of the new world has been presented by Mott. However, even in such a world, some dissatisfaction is brewing up. Bernard Marx, an unorthodox and unhappy Alpha Plus, a brilliant man, feels dissatisfied with the whole system. An alpha plus friend of his, Helmholtz Watson, feels a vague creative restlessness. And Lenina Crown, a fleshy girl who has been attracted towards Bernard, produces a feeling of disgust and boredom in both. Being an intellectual, Bernard Marx is allowed to visit one of the few reservations left in the world which have remained unaffected by the civilization of the New World, and where people still live as savages. According to the people of the New World, they are like savages. So, accompanied by Lenina, he pays a visit to one such settlement in New Mexico. Lenina, who is accustomed to the so-called civilized life of Europe of 632 after Ford, has a feeling of repulsion against the primitive life of people here in New Mexico, in this settlement. At the reservation, Bernard and Lenina come across a savage, and his name is John, born to a middle-aged woman, Linda, by the director of hatcheries as a result of her carelessness in the use of contraceptive device. Linda now lives a promiscuous life on the reservation, having affairs with several men including Pope. John grows up as an intelligent and self-taught man because of his having been born of civilized parents, but remains partly a savage because of his upbringing among the savages living on the reservation. So, students, today I am just telling you the story till here only. I have told you about this novel about Aldous Huxley, and you are now also familiar with the main characters and the setting and the background of this novel. Tomorrow I'll continue with this story, and we'll finish with the story of Brave New World in brief tomorrow. Till then, thank you.